In Walmart's Who Newville, joy started to grow. For online-only savings sure to steal the show. Tech treats and toys so dazzling and new. Walmart Cyber Monday deal soon ready for you. It's online only with very little time to spare. December 1st will soon be here, so be sure to be there. The Who's are prepared. Are you ready too? A day packed with savings. Amazing! Who knew? Subject to availability, terms and fees apply.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Situational football, targeted pass rush planning, and hidden yardage. These three areas decide playoff games at every level. Today's episode features Andrew Sowder on two-point plays and charts, UTSA's Siddiq Haynes on evaluating QB windows for game planning your rush plan, and Columbia's Garrett McLaughlin on quantifying hidden yardage in the kicking game. This is Game Planning Tips presented by Lawrence First and Goal Foundation. As teams advance in the playoffs, the margin gets smaller and the details matter even more. Today we're focusing on three areas that swing games in November and December. Two-point plays and situational planning, identifying the QB's weak windows for your pass rush. Let's start with the offensive side of situational football. First up is Andrew Sowder, who walks through the keys to two-point success and how he builds a complete situational chart for the press box. From communicating two-point intention early to practicing post-TD mechanics to carrying a season-long menu of plays, his system brings order to chaos. Here's Coach Sowder.
Okay, moving along. This is the chart that I have in the press box. Okay, there's a lot of stuff on here. Everybody's got their two-point chart that they keep. Basically what this sheet is I compiled like 4 different two-point charts from over the years from different staffs, and I put them all into one sheet. Okay, so this has a lot of stuff on it. The two-point charts down here at the bottom left, really critical, obviously, when you're trying to decide to go for two. We'll talk more about two-point inversions in a little bit. But you got your two-point chart down there. You got a notes section down here. I don't use that a ton, but what you can use for it is your kicker's range. What yard line we feel good about as a staff kicking a field goal, whether it's with the wind or against the wind. I'll write that down there. Okay, I got a timeout checkoff deal here. Okay, the only reason I got that is because we all know, like, sometimes the scoreboard is wrong. All right, so I will actually check off when us or the opponent calls a timeout, and I'll go off that instead of the scoreboard. Okay, reviewable plays. Okay, I know review is not in all the high schools, but in college, it's a huge part of the game. Okay, so I can tell our head coach, hey, this play's reviewable or it's not reviewable, and that helps us make some decisions. Or know, like, hey, they may have made a mistake, the refs may have made a mistake, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's non-reviewable. Okay, so I've got a list of those on the side here. Basically, if you can't review any penalties, anything involving the football pretty much can be reviewed. Down at the bottom right, I've got what takes time off during a play, what a typical play is, what a kneel down takes, what, a spike takes, etc. And then the middle part is anything outside of 2 minutes when you're at the end of the game and you're trying to figure out how much you can run off in 4-minute offense or how much you can run off with kneels, etc. Okay, so based on how many timeouts we have or they have. And then inside 2 minutes, this is more so figuring out, again, when you can take kneel downs, when you can start kneeling out the clock and win the game. So I've got a situation I'll talk about here in a little bit where that really came into play. Okay, moving along, two-point plays. Okay, when you're talking two-point plays, biggest thing is you need to communicate the intention to go for two before the drive starts. Okay, this helps the play caller, this helps the offense, this helps everyone, and even the players. Like, hey, we're about to go for two if we score right here. Okay, so communicate that intention before the drive. If we're talking about it during the touchdown, okay, it's going to be a little crazy down there. Okay. So the earlier we can decide we're going for 2, the better. Okay. This is a big piece. Practice post touchdown mechanics. Okay. I've actually been in a game where we wanted to go for 2, and one of our starting receivers, after a touchdown, went to the bench. Okay. And he's sitting on the bench, and we're trying to go for 2 out there. Okay. So make sure, okay, everyone pretty much just holds up a 1 or 2 after a touchdown. Okay. You got to actually practice that at one point during the season or preseason. Okay. One thing that, we've talked about here that I think some teams do and that I think is a good idea is to have a menu of 2-point plays that carry the entire season. Okay. So maybe not necessarily changing the 2-point plays every single week, but having, 10 or 12 plays that you really like down there against any defense that you can carry the entire year. Okay. Because especially the way the college game is right now, you may need that many. And we'll talk about that in a second as well. Okay. And then once you get down there in the 2-point play range, you want the ball in your best player's hands, whether that's fading up a receiver, if you've got a stud running back, finding a way to get it in his hands. If you feel really good about your quarterback, giving him different decisions, whether he can run the ball in or throw the ball, etc. Like I talked about earlier, you've got to be ready to carry a ton of 2-point plays in the way the college game is now because they changed the overtime rules. Okay. This past season, Illinois and Penn State went into a 9 overtime game. Both teams had to run 7 2-point plays, which is pretty crazy. You got a chance to go back and look at that game on YouTube, just the highlights. It's pretty entertaining. So wild game and something that everyone has to prepare for. No one really thinks they're going to be in a 9 overtime game, but it can happen.
Situational mastery gives your offense clarity. Your defense needs the same, especially when game planning the pass rush. Next is Siddiq Haynes, UTSA's defensive run game coordinator and defensive line coach. He breaks down how he charts every quarterback through windows to identify sack locations, pressure vulnerabilities, and scramble tendencies. This turns your pass rush into a targeted plan instead of guesswork. Here's Coach Haynes.
Going to the QB windows. All right, this works with who the quarterback is. This is something that I do week in and week out. All right, week in and week out when we're in the season. There's 4 different windows when it comes down to it. All right, as we're looking at it. The offensive right tackle, the left one that we're looking at it, from him out, right? From the tackle out, that's window 1. From the tackle to the center, as we're looking at it on the left side, is window 2. 3 is from guard to tackle. 4 is from the right tackle as we're looking at it, the offensive left tackle and out. And what I do here is I go through every clip. I look at his completions, whether he's 34 or 49, how many yards does he get with those completions, right? The ones that you see in red are the crucial ones. This tells us his identity. Sacks, fumbles, interceptions. Those are things that are in the red because they're critical. Meaning, if he has, as we're looking at this, right, between window 2 and window 3, he's been sacked 7 times. Window 4 and window 1, he's been sacked a total of 2 times. So what this tells me is the middle of his line is the weakest. That's where they're giving up the most sacks. Does he give up some sacks outside? Yeah, 1 here or there. But that's where the action is. And then scrambles, the other one that's in red right there, right? Is this a guy that likes to run a lot? Now I can go to my DC and this one and say, hey, out of these X amount of attempts right now, he only has 4 scrambles total for 21 yards, right? Window 2, he has 3 scrambles for 20 yards. Window 4, he has 1 scramble for 1 yard. Not a high probability of this guy being a runner, right? And again, he can have 10 scrambles, but if it's only for 2 yards, that would be a TFL, right? But if 10 scrambles for, let's say, 20 yards, it's not like he's a dynamic runner. He's getting right past the line of scrimmage and more than likely getting tackled. Okay, so this is a great way to show those critical times. It's great for the DB. Sometimes you see where a quarterback likes to favor as far as where he likes to throw. As we see it here, window 1, he completed the most amount of balls, 34 of 49, right? Which means he likes to throw to his right side. More times than none, you'll see quarterbacks' dominant hand being the most dominant side. Right-handed quarterback, window 1, the defensive left, the offensive right, typically is his favorite spot to throw. Then you'll know whether a team likes to throw underneath or not if it's in window 2 or 3, or do they like to throw down the field in the middle of the field, right? So all these things, you can find out the identity of a quarterback, and it's also something you give to your D-line. Maybe they're not as hooked on the completions and the yards, but definitely the sacks, the fumbles, and the scrambles. Those are all critical to know in those down situations.
And finally, no playoff team survives without winning the kicking game and field position. Our final segment comes from Garrett McLaughlin, Columbia's defensive line coach and special teams coordinator. He shares how he quantifies hidden yardage, punt net, kickoff start lines, explosives, and sting punts, and why players must see it graded the same way they see offensive and defensive production. Here's Coach McLaughlin.
So, I think one of the tricky things you have to be able to do as a special teams coordinator is to be able to quantitate success in the kicking game. Unlike offense and defense, where you can see, hey, how many points did we score? How many points got scored against us, right? How many yards did we give up? Whatever. It's hard to really figure out, how good your special teams were just based on the box score. So we use a hitting yardage metric with our guys, and hopefully it's something that you can bring to your program and make your guys a little bit better. And this is what, we show our guys Sunday morning after the game, first thing when they walk into a special teams meeting, this is what they see projected up onto the board. So how to kind of read this is we take everything off of the net for punt. Pride and Joy is our punt, block party is our punt return, Cabo is our kickoff, house calls our kickoff return, right? And this is from back when I was at Bates. A good example of what we did here. We did it a little bit different last year in New Hampshire. We're going back to this for the season of 2022 here. But we take it off the national average for net. So at Bates Division III football program, the net was about 31, if memory serves, in Division III football. So we rounded it off to 30, make something that's easy for the players to wrap their brains around. So we netted 36. That was a +6 for us, right? When we netted 29, that's a -1. We add them all up down here, okay? Conversely, we wanted to make the other team net less than 30 on their punts. Okay, so 35 was a -5 for us, but your 22, okay, they had a net punt of 22, that's a +8. And again, add them all up, put them on the bottom here. For kickoff and kickoff return, we just took it off the 25, just as simple as, hey, where do they put the ball when the ball gets kicked out of the end zone, right? Take it off the 25 from there, okay? And then the other thing that we did, which we always wanted to track, were explosives. We defined that as simply as anything that caused a 30, +30, -30 in terms of hidden yards. So anything that created a plus for us was put in green. That's an explosive for us. Anything that was a minus was put in red. Trust me, if you go through some of the other ones from this season, you'll find more reds than just this one. I guess I cherry picked this for the means of this talk. Then we had tackles and just some notes on the side there too. Another thing that we're getting to is that our sting punt, so that's punt going in. If we punt it inside the 10, we get a plus for each yard closer to the end zone. So for example, if the ball gets down at the 9, that's going to be a +1. Regardless of where we kicked it from. It can be more than that, right? If we kicked from the -40 and it went down there, let me do some quick math. That would be a 51 based on what we did at Bates. That would be a 21. But if we were punting from the +35, let's just say, we wanted a way to make sure that the importance of being able to pin a team down there was calculated. So we put the sting punt in there as well.
3 coaches, 3 lessons that directly impact postseason success. Be elite in situational football, rush the quarterback's weaknesses, not just the scheme. Grade and coach hitting yardage with intentionality. This episode is presented by Lawrence First and Goal Foundation, supporting pediatric brain tumor research and families fighting cancer. Learn more or get involved at lawrencefirstandgoal.org. Good luck this week, and thanks for joining us. We're proud to partner with the best companies that serve coaches. For your in-game analytics, go to modernfootball.com. When you win it all this year, Signature Championship Rings provides you a great design within your budget. Use Story of the Season for a modern version of the media guide and a way to raise $20,000 to $40,000 for your program. Go to storyoftheseason.com. Sideline communication is critical. Our partner, the Headset app, has figured out how to do that at a fraction of the cost. Check out what they do at theheadsetapp.com. Go Route offers you a way to call plays in games now if you're in Texas. And Gridiron Scout is the premier way to get plays into practice and eliminate scout cards. Check it out at goroute.com. And finally, Titan Sensors gives you the analytics you need for your players on player development and understanding their physical needs. Check out all of our sponsors and our content at coachandcoordinator.com.